Putin doesn't seem to be particularly rational anymore. I mean, in layman terms, he's crazy. The interview was with Gleb Karakulov, who's a captain with Russia's Federal Guard Service, which is basically responsible for Kremlin's security, for Putin's security. And his duties included providing encrypted communications for Putin, including on his foreign visits. And last October, when Putin was in Astana, the capital of Kazakhstan, Karakulov put into action a plan that he'd been plotting for quite a while to escape, well, to leave Russia, to desert, basically, and to defect. And his wife joined him in Astana with their small child, and he managed to, as he says, divert the attention of his colleagues for a while and basically jump on the plane to Istanbul.
Why did he come to the conclusion that he had to defect?
Because he said he could no longer take orders from a war criminal, i.e. Putin, and that the war is basically the genocide of the Ukrainian people. He didn't want anything to do with it. And he also didn't want his daughter to grow up in Putin's kind of highly militarized totalitarian Russia.
We've seen people defect before. How is this different? Is it because of the seniority that he held?
He's thought to be the most high-ranking member of the Russian Special Services to defect. So in that case, in that sense, yes, it's significant.
What this interview's done that he's given has given real insight into kind of the mind of President Putin. What do you think have been some of the most dramatic revelations?
Well, I mean, we knew that Putin had been kind of locked up in his private residences, or that he'd been kind of holed up in his private residences throughout the pandemic. He kind of gives us details about how he's just paranoid. One example he gave was that he had a special secure communications line set up in the bomb shelter of the Russian embassy in Kazakhstan when he was there last year. So he was obviously worried that someone would try to kill him in Kazakhstan. He would have to flee to the bomb shelter. He'd have to get on the phone and call someone. As Karakulov, the defector, says, he's pathologically afraid for his life and is kind of gripped by a paranoia. He also revealed that well, there have been suspicions for years, but he confirmed that Putin has identical offices in his residences across Russia. So when he said, for example, on one occasion that he cited when Russian state television showed Putin holding a meeting at his office near Moscow, he was in fact in Sochi, the Black Sea resort city. And this, again, he said, is to kind of confuse foreign intelligence and to prevent any attempts on his life. Portrayed him as being in this kind of information vacuum. He doesn't use mobile phone, doesn't use the internet. Basically, his only information comes from his kind of very closest allies. Russian state television, which is bizarre. You imagine Putin sitting down watching his own propaganda. And reports from his intelligence services, but we all know those are extremely flawed because it was an FSB report which Putin received just before the war that said the Ukrainian people would greet Russian troops as liberators, which is believed to be a key factor behind his decision to invade. So basically he's kind of portraying, well, as he says himself, he's shut himself off from the world. His take on reality has become distorted.
You've been covering Russian relations, Moscow, Putin, for years. Was there anything that struck you as really surprising?
I mean, I wasn't under any illusion that Putin is sane anymore anyway. So, I mean, I kind of realized that he's lost it a long time ago. I mean, he's very concerned for his own personal safety and security. I mean, we could see that with the kind of extraordinary measures the Kremlin took to protect him from coronavirus, which are still, according to Karakulov, still in place. He said that presidential aides are still taking PCR tests throughout the day, that people who want to meet him or need to meet him for up to 15, 20 minutes are still being put into quarantine for 2 weeks before they are allowed to do so, officials anyway. So, I mean, I think Putin doesn't seem to be particularly rational anymore. I mean, in layman terms, he's crazy.